Comfort feels wonderful. A soft chair, a cozy couch, a favorite television program, a warm blanket. After decades of working hard, many people look forward to finally slowing down, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying rest. In fact, your body needs it. But what happens when comfort quietly becomes your entire lifestyle? When sitting feels easier than walking? When staying home feels safer than going out? When the chair becomes the place where most of your day unfolds? The surprising truth is this: your body loves comfort, but it also needs challenge. Not extreme challenge, just enough movement, enough variety, enough reason to stay strong. Because after 50, the greatest threat to strength isn't always aging itself. Sometimes it's becoming just a little too comfortable. Today, let's explore the surprising cost of staying comfortable all day, and why a little healthy discomfort may actually help you enjoy many more comfortable years ahead. The man in this story had worked for more than 40 years. He woke up early, worked long hours, spent weekends fixing things around the house. When he retired at 69, he made himself a promise. I'm finally going to rest. At first, retirement felt wonderful. He slept later, watched more television, read newspapers for hours, enjoyed long afternoons in his favorite recliner. He told friends, I've earned this, and he had. For several months, everything seemed perfect. Then, small changes quietly appeared. His legs felt weaker when climbing stairs. Standing up required a little more effort. Walking long distances became less enjoyable. His afternoon naps became longer. Yet somehow, he still felt tired. He couldn't understand it. I've never rested this much. So, why don't I feel more rested? During a routine visit, he mentioned this to his doctor. The doctor smiled thoughtfully, then asked one simple question: how many hours each day do you think you're sitting? The man paused. He had never counted. For the first time, he realized comfort had slowly become his daily routine. Not because anyone forced him, because it happened one quiet day at a time. The doctor pulled his chair a little closer. I want you to imagine something. He pointed towards the man's walking cane, resting against the wall. If we leave that cane untouched in a closet for a year, what happens? The man smiled. It gathers dust. Exactly, the doctor continued. The human body works in a surprisingly similar way. It adapts to how it's used. If muscles are challenged, they become stronger. If balance is practiced, it improves. If the heart is asked to work a little harder through regular movement, it becomes more efficient. But if the body spends most of the day sitting, it slowly begins adapting to sitting. The man listened quietly. The doctor explained that this process doesn't happen overnight. It happens so gradually, most people hardly notice. A little muscle disappears each year. Flexibility decreases. Joints become stiffer. Balance reactions slow slightly. The lungs don't expand quite as deeply. The brain receives a little less stimulation. None of these changes seem dramatic by themselves, but together they slowly reshape everyday life. The doctor smiled kindly. Your body isn't becoming lazy, it's becoming efficient. It simply learns to do what you ask of it most often. The man thought about his typical day: breakfast in the kitchen, reading in his recliner, watching television, using the computer. Another television program, dinner, more sitting. Without realizing it, his body had been practicing stillness every single day. The doctor added, comfort itself isn't the problem. The problem comes when comfort never gets interrupted. Even standing up every hour, walking to the mailbox, watering plants, stretching while waiting for the kettle to boil. These small moments remind the body that movement is still part of everyday life. The man suddenly understood. His body wasn't asking him to stop resting. It was asking him to balance rest with movement. The following week, the man decided to observe himself. Every time he reached for his favorite chair, he asked one simple question. Have I moved recently? Sometimes the answer surprised him. 2 hours had passed, occasionally 3. He hadn't noticed. His doctor had suggested one small experiment. Before sitting down again, walk for 5 minutes, stretch gently, or complete one simple household task. Nothing exhausting, just enough to wake the body. At first, it felt unnecessary. Then something unexpected happened. His back felt less tight. His knees didn't ache as much when standing. He found himself sleeping a little better. Even his afternoon energy improved. The doctor later explained why. Movement acts almost like a reset button. Every few minutes of walking encourages blood to circulate more freely. Muscles receive fresh oxygen. Joints begin moving through their natural range again. The brain receives new sensory information. The body becomes more alert. He also learned something fascinating. Comfort can become addictive. The longer we remain seated, the more comfortable sitting feels. Ironically, getting up begins to feel more difficult. But the opposite is also true. The more regularly we move, the easier movement becomes. One healthy choice quietly supports the next. The man realized he had been waiting until he felt like moving. Now, he understood that moving was often what created the feeling in the first place. Instead of asking, do I feel motivated enough to get up? He began asking, what will my body thank me for 10 minutes from now? More often than not, the answer was the same. Stand up, take a few steps, let the body remember what it was built to do. The man decided he wasn't going to train for a marathon. He wasn't trying to become the strongest person in the neighborhood. His goal was much simpler. Interrupt comfort. Every morning, after finishing his coffee, he walked around the block. Not quickly, not to reach a certain number of steps, just to begin the day with movement. Instead of sitting through an entire television program, he stood up during every commercial break. Sometimes he stretched his shoulders. Sometimes he walked around the living room. Sometimes he simply looked out the window while gently moving his legs. When talking on the phone, he walked through the house instead of remaining in his chair. After lunch, he watered the flowers instead of immediately returning to the recliner. Each activity lasted only a few minutes, yet together they completely changed the rhythm of his day. Several weeks later, he noticed something remarkable. Standing up no longer felt like such hard work. His legs felt stronger. His afternoon naps became shorter. His evening walks became more enjoyable. Even carrying groceries seemed easier. His doctor smiled when he described the changes. You didn't become healthier because of one long workout. You became healthier because you stopped sitting for so many uninterrupted hours. The man realized that health wasn't asking for dramatic effort. It was asking for frequent reminders that his body was still meant to move. He also discovered that movement created momentum. Once he stood up, doing one more small activity became easier. One walk often led to another. One stretch encouraged another. The hardest part had never been moving. The hardest part had been taking the first step away from comfort. Months later, the man reflected on how differently he now viewed retirement. At first, he believed retirement meant finally doing less. Now, he understood it meant finally having the freedom to choose activities that helped him stay healthy. He still enjoyed his favorite chair. He still watched television. He still read books for hours. None of those pleasures disappeared. The difference was that they no longer filled his entire day. Comfort became something he enjoyed, not something that quietly controlled his life. He noticed another unexpected change. He felt more confident. He no longer worried as much about climbing stairs or walking through busy parking lots or keeping up with his grandchildren. Every small movement he practiced during the day quietly strengthened the life he wanted to continue living. His doctor shared one final thought. The goal isn't to avoid comfortable places. The goal is to make sure comfort never becomes your strongest muscle. The man laughed. He understood exactly what that meant, because the body practices whatever it repeats. If we repeatedly practice sitting, we become better at sitting. If we repeatedly practice walking, lifting, stretching, balancing, and exploring, our bodies quietly become better at living. He also realized that one of the greatest gifts of movement wasn't physical at all. It was freedom. Freedom to travel, freedom to visit friends, freedom to play with grandchildren, freedom to work in the garden, freedom to enjoy everyday moments without constantly worrying whether his body could keep up. That freedom became far more valuable than another hour in his comfortable chair. He eventually developed a simple rule. Whenever he noticed himself sitting for too long, he smiled and said, "My body deserves 5 minutes. 5 minutes to walk, 5 minutes to stretch, 5 minutes to breathe deeply, 5 minutes to remind every muscle that it still had an important job to do." Those tiny moments never felt impressive, but over months they quietly transformed his strength, his balance, his energy, his confidence. Perhaps that's the surprising cost of staying comfortable all day. It isn't simply weaker muscles. It's slowly giving away abilities we may not realize are disappearing. The encouraging news is that we can begin changing that pattern today. Not tomorrow, not next month, today. By standing up one more time, walking one more hallway, taking one more trip outside, choosing the stairs when it's safe, stretching while dinner cooks, turning ordinary moments into opportunities for movement. Because after 50, your body doesn't expect perfection. It simply hopes you'll keep inviting it to participate in life. Comfort will always have its place. A warm chair, a quiet afternoon, a peaceful evening. Those moments are part of a good life. But perhaps the greatest comfort of all is knowing your body is still strong enough, steady enough, and capable enough to enjoy the life you've worked so hard to build. And that comfort is earned one small movement at a time.